Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai 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 la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai 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 la lai lai. You know you want to clap your hands, go for it. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Yalai la yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai la lai, yalai la lai lai, yalai 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 la lai lai, yalai la lai. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, that was a kind of a weak beginning. Let's I think we can do better. When I say Shabbat Shalom, give me a strong Shabbat Shalom, like we are here to celebrate. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, thank you so much. That was much better. So, when we are praying together, and when Levi is leading us in prayer, when we hear your voices, it gives us strength and confidence and just buoys our spirits. So remember, whether you're participating in Hebrew or English or both, let us hear your voices. Let them ring out with strength and energy. If you should need to use the restroom for any reason at all, it's back on your right through the doorway and just past it. If I understand that people carry their cell phones with them nowadays. Isn't that right, David?
It's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. So you're probably one of those people. So if you have a cell phone now and it's on, you should just turn it right off. Make it silent or turn it off completely, because after all, you're here with us today and you really won't need it, because we are here engaged in prayer and song and in celebration of Levi's bar mitzvah. So with that said, also, well, actually, two more things. If you could keep your mask on during the service, we would so appreciate that, given the health concerns that we all have right now. And if you're coming up to the bima for a reading or for any special reason, when you're here, you can take off your mask because you'll be addressing the congregations. And then you'll put it back on when you go back to your seats.
And we will put on our masks when you come on.
Right. As something that we do. And then, one more thing. You might hear myself or David refer to this ceremony not just as a bar mitzvah, but also a brit mitzvah. Brit mitzvah is a term that is coined right here at Temple Abanim, and what it means is it means the covenant of the mitzvah, that indeed today we are engaged in the embrace of covenant. That is the covenant of acceptance of the mitzvot, and so we're calling it a brit mitzvah, and we believe that language is gender inclusive, and so for those who are non-binary or who are still exploring their gender will not be sort of, in a silo with bar or bat. So we'll probably refer to it interchangeably as brit mitzvah and bar mitzvah. Please don't be, I don't know, disoriented by that, I just wanted to let you know that that's what we're doing and that we're very proud of our inclusion here at Temple Habani. So,
You might also need a siddur, a blue siddur. You're also welcome to not take one and just follow along with your heart and with your soul. There are also two pieces that I don't have up here, but one is the menu.
the program.
Leo, the program. Will you hold yours up, Leo? That Leo has right there. And the other is the Torah sheet that Leo has right there.
And because of because David and I were busy making all sorts of logistical and technical arrangements for this moment, if someone in the congregation who knows us could bring a program and a Torah sheet, that would be so welcome. We would appreciate that. So if someone could do that. Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, that's wonderful. All right. With that, we begin on page 185. Page 185 of the Mishkan Tefillah. And let us pray responsively. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have care to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May the threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Page 188, Hinei Matov. How wonderful it is to be here on this day of celebration and joy.
Hinei Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov umanayim shevet achayot gam yachad. Now you know the clap part. Do it with me. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achayot gam yachad. Call and response. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. Hinei matov. Hinei matov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov. Umanayim shevet achayot gam yachad.
It is now my great pleasure and honor to stand down front with Levi's Bubby and Zadie, with Carol and Ronald Horowitz. They brought Talit back from Israel for Levi to give him to him at this time, and we're so thrilled to be able to do so. We call you for the presentation of the Talit.
Well, also in Carol's spare time, she was able to make a tallis bag for Levi, which took more than a few days to do. And I just wanted to show that it's rather unique. Of course, you put a very secret message on the inside, which I'm not going to show. But I'll just have Levi hold on to this. The talit itself was made in a town called Slat in Israel. And we stumbled upon the weaver accidentally and asked them if they would make a talit for our grandchildren. They said they would. And they did. They even personalized it for each one. Put their names on the talit.
It was right after Levi was born. We were in Israel when he was born.
Right after you were born. Wow.
Exchange.
I just want to say just a few words about the talit, if you would. You'll notice that there are fringes that hang down from the corners, and these fringes represent God's commandments. The term bar mitzvah literally means son of the commandment. And so Levi, when you put this on for the very first time, you'll literally be wrapping yourself in God's mitzvot. So you say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu u'hitatei patzitzi.
Amen.
And place it on the shoulders. Here. Our service will now continue on page 195, page 195, and we welcome to the Bima Aaron and Chris Arnold, page 195. Aaron, you can stand right here in the center.
Oh, great.
And in Yiddish, right?
Only in
Of course.
Yiddish. We actually had to print it out on paper so that we could read it
Yeah.
because of the writing needs to be huge. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Don't let me fall as a stone falls upon the hard ground. And don't let my hands become dry as the twigs of a tree when the wind beats down the last leaves. And when the storm raises dust from the earth with anger and howling, don't let me become the last fly trembling terrified on a window pane.
Don't let me fall. I have asked for so much, but as a blade of your grass in a distant wild field lets drop a seed in the lap of the earth and dies away, sow in me your living breath as you sow a seed in the earth.
Thank you so much.
Aaron and Chris, thank you so much. We're now very pleased to welcome to the Bima Aunt Karen for the reading on page 197, the reading for the soul. Hello, Aunt Karen. How's it? Nice to meet you too.
My soul came to me pure, drawn from the reservoir of the holy. All the time it remains with me. I am thankful for its thirst, for compassion and justice. Let my eyes behold the beauty of all creatures. Let my hands know the privilege of righteous deeds.
Thank you, Aunt Karen. Our service now continues on page 198 as Levi will chant the morning blessings. After each blessing, please feel free to conclude that blessing with Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech vivina lechavchin yom uvein laila.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Matir Asurim.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Zokev Kifufim.
Amen.
Page 200. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamechin mitzarei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Malbish arumim.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamechin laev koach.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Hama'avir sheina meinai, Utnuma me'afapai.
Amen.
Page 202. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shasarni b'tselem Elohim.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shasarni ben chorin.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shasarni Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Oser Yisrael bigvura.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Oser Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen. Page 204.
Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah la'asok b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue.
It's now my pleasure to welcome to the Bima friends of the family, Emily Katz and Laura Chapman, for the reading on page 207.
There are 8 degrees of giving of tzedakah, each one higher than the one before. Okay. To give grudgingly, reluctantly, or with regret. To give less than one should, but with grace. To give what one should, but only after being asked. To give before one is asked.
To give without knowing who will receive it, although the recipient knows the identity of the giver. To give without making known one's identity. To give so that neither giver nor receiver knows the identity of the other. To help another to become self-supporting by means of a gift, a loan, or by finding employment for the one in need.
Emily and Laura, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you here in just 2 weeks. Yes. All right. Our service will now continue on page 225. Page 225.
What makes a fire burn is space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing. Too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames, almost as surely as a pail of water would.
So building requires attention to the spaces in between as much as in wood.
When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we have learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see it as fuel and absence of fuel together that make the fire possible.
We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divra hirute v'amlich malhute. Bechaye chonu v'yomechon ufchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala bagala uvizman kariv ve'imeru. Amen. Yehishmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Mu'al Me'almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnomad V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudasha B'reichu Leila Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru. Amen. Please rise for the Baruch Hu.
Page 226.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla lie lie lie, 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 yalla lie lie lie. Yalla lie lie lie, yalla lie lie lie. Barechu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
You may be seated. Yes, sir. David. Yes, sir.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorech Oshem
Ose Shalom Uvorei et HaKol.
That's it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Yotzer or uvorei choshen Ose Shalom Uvorei et HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Yotzer or uvorei choshen Ose Shalom Uvorei et HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Yotzer or uvorei choshen Ose Shalom Uvorei et HaKol.
Page 231.
Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. Wait, is that it? Yeah. God disturbs us towards our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming.
Together, Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. We ask you now to rise for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated and join me for the Ve'ah Haftah on page 234. Ve'ah Haftah et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elem asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'vleftecha b'derech u'shochbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu litotafot bein einecha u'vtavtam al mizuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru v'asiten et kol mitzvotai v'hiyem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Sure.
Okay. At this time, we will, having read or chanted the Ve'ah Haftah, we will now, if you open your programs, there's a prayer called Listen. And Levi will be leading that prayer. No, this is just James will be doing that?
Oh.
James will be doing that. Aha. Okay, very good. So thank you. James, if you could come on up at this time. And it's still a good idea to take out your program because this is the reading he'll be doing. Yes, we'll be doing it responsively. That's what so the italics are there for. Yes. Okay. But welcome to the Bima.
Thank you.
Okay.
Judaism begins with the commandment, "Hear, O Israel," but what does it really mean to hear? The person who walks amid the songs of birds and thinks only of what will be served for dinner hears but does not really hear.
The man who listens to the words of his friends or his wife or his child does not catch the note of urgency, notice me, help me, care about me, hears but does not really hear.
The person who listens to the news and thinks only of how it will affect business hears but does not really hear.
The person who stifles the sound of conscience and thinks, I have done enough already, hears but does not really hear.
The person who hears the Hazan pray and does not feel the call to join in prayer hears but does not really hear.
The person who listens to the rabbi's sermon and thinks that someone else is being addressed hears but does not really hear.
On this Shabbat, O Lord, sharpen our ability to hear.
May we hear the music of the world, the infant sitting, and the lover's sigh.
May we hear the call for help of the lonely soul and the sound of the breaking heart.
May we hear the words of our friends and also their unspoken pleas and dreams.
May we hear within ourselves the yearnings that are struggling for expression.
May we hear you, O God.
For only if we hear you do we have the right to hope that you will hear us.
Hear the prayers we offer to you this day, O God, and may we hear them too. And our service now continues on page 239, page 239. And once again, we will pray responsively, page 239.
The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all the nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their words into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor, asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. Page 240.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. By the way, this is the part in the Torah where the Red Sea just split and we're free from slavery, so we're rejoicing. Whatever that looks like to you, do it in this moment, please, and rejoice with us. Here we go. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, Torah tehilot osef eleh, Torah tehilot osef eleh. Shirachan shashibchu geonin, L'shimcha svar hayam, Yachad kulam hodu, Ve'imlechu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 la. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 la. Yai lai la lai la lai la 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 la. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai lai la lai. Tor Yisrael, Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Uvtechenu Mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go Aleinu Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai Yisrael.
please rise for the tefillah. Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana Svatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ufiagi. Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Svatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ufiagi. Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Svatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ufiagi. Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 244.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zoher Hazeavot ve'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei v'Neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah.
Page 246.
Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Ra Lo'Oshia, Morid Hatah, Mechaye Chayim B'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ve'Rofeh Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekaye Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Mimi Tu Mechaye, Umatzmiat Neshua, V'ne'eman atah Hayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol.
Page 248.
Nikadesh Simcha Haolam, Geshem Shmekdishim Otom Yishmir Maror, Makatu Al Yad Neviecha, V'Kara Zel Ze'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Melech Kol Haaretz, Kivodo. Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adoninu Adir, Shemcha B'chol Haaretz, Baruch Kivod Adonai, Mimkomo, Echad Hu Eloheinu, U'Sheminu Malkeinu, U'Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu, Berachamam Le'ochai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Milochai Adonai leolam. Elohai Tzion Ledor Vador. Hallelujah. Ledor Vedor Nagid Golecha. Unetzach Netzachim Kirushadcha Nagdish. B'shivcha Eloheinu Mipinu Lo Yamush Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated. We're going to turn to page 250 now, and on page 250, we celebrate this moment of Shabbat with joy. We're not only here, of course, to celebrate Levi's bar mitzvah, we're also here to celebrate this gift of Shabbat. Page 250, Yismechu.
Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei Shabbat. Mekadeshei, mekadeshei shevi Shabbat. Kulam yisbehu v'yitangu mitvecha Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei Shabbat. V'hashvi'i, v'hashvi'i, ratzita bo v'kdashto Shabbat. Chemdad yamim, oto karatza Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei Shabbat. Zecher lemase bereshit Shabbat. Zecher lemase bereshit Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei la 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 la. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, onei Shabbat.
So, we're going to do a reading on page 253 with Anita and Don. But Anita, welcome. We are so glad that you are here because I know that these last 24 hours have been very, very difficult for you. And last night, Anita was in the ER, and we're so thrilled that she was able to be here this morning to celebrate this day with the Robbins family. So, Anita, if you would like to do this reading from your seat, I'm happy to come down. Will that be all right? We're on page 253. Okay, great. This is the advantage of having portable microphones. Oh, no, it's my pleasure. All right. Yes, that one.
Where has this day vanished? It is lost forever. Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realization, hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burden that must return. On this day, Shabbat Abhai, help me to withdraw for a while. from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hour and days, from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat Abahai.
Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Our prayer for Thanksgiving. Just as I was down in the congregation with Anita and Don, my prayer of gratitude that they could be with us today, as my prayer of gratitude is that all of you could be here. But on this day, we are also having a relationship not just with each other, but with the larger world and with God. And this prayer on page 257 is a responsive reading. Levi will lead us in the responsive reading, but I want you, and he's going to do the English. I want you to do the Hebrew. The Hebrew is Modim Anachnu Lach. Can everyone just say that for me, please? Modim Anachnu Lach. It means we give our thanks to you, God. And as Levi is leading us in this prayer, the sentiments that he's going to be speaking are also the sentiments of his Torah portion of Kiddushin. We're grateful for the many things that are expressed here, but also grateful for our relationships most of all.
For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imagination.
Modim Anachnu Lach.
For this fragile planet, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons.
Modim Anachnu Lach.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
Modim Anachnu Lach.
For human community, our common past and future, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
Modim Anachnu Lach.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
Modim Anachnu Lach.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others may live in dignity and freedom.
Modim Anachnu Lach.
For human freedoms and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose.
Modim Anachnu Lach.
We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Hatov
Hatov
Shimcha,
Shimcha,
Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot.
We now call to the bima Maureen McGuire for the reading on page 259, our reading for peace. Maureen, it's so good to see you up here on the bima. Welcome.
Thank you.
Page 259.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the people of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, hambarich et amo Yisrael bat shalom.
sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha. Whoa, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha.
Yalalai. Yalalalai, Yalalalai, Yalalalai. You lead us. Oh.
Sim,
Sim.
sim, sim, shalom, sim,
Sim.
sim,
Sim.
sim, shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha.
Yalalalai, Yalalalai,
Yalalai.
Please take a few moments now for silent prayer and reflection, the meditation of your hearts.
It's no coincidence that in our worship service there are two prayers for peace sandwiched around a personal reflection, a moment within ourselves where we can think about our way to make peace, whether it's inside your own heart or inside your own home, shalom babayit, inside your own congregation. It's important for all of us to constantly be thinking about ways that we personally can make peace in our world. Then and only then will we be able to find peace. Here at Temple Hablonim, one of the ways we do that is by listening. We ask our students, what kind of melodies do you like? What makes you feel good? When people feel good, they want to do even better than they're doing now, as if that's possible. So, Levi, come on up and join me for Oseh Shalom.
Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu.
260.
Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, le'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
One more time. Yaseh
שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
At this time, we turn to page 364, and we begin Seder Kriyat HaTorah l'Shabbat, the reading of the Torah on Shabbat. On this day of celebration and joy, I'd like to invite grandparents and, of course, Michael and Karen and Levi as we pass the Torah from generation to generation down in the front.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Ki
Please rise.
mitzion tetzei Torah. Udevar Adonai miYerushalayim. Dor v'dor nagid godlecha. The door v'dor we protect this chain. From generation to generation, the door v'dor, these lips will praise your name.
I hold in my hand Torah Scroll. It was rescued from Czechoslovakia. This Torah Scroll represents not just the teachings and the history of our people, it also represents the perseverance and courage and devotion to an idea. An idea that we would continue to study, to pass down this wisdom, l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation. That indeed, we would not let tyrants and our oppressors change us. Rather, we would change them with our perseverance and our courage. And so today we pass this Torah scroll that Levi will chant from grandparents to parents to our bar mitzvah. May this scroll always be in good hands, as I know it is and will be.
The Dor v'dor nagid god lecha. Dor v'dor we protect this chain. From generation to generation. The door of a door, these lips will praise your name. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Onaramama Shemo Yachtav, Lecha Adonai Hagedula, V'Hagevura, V'Hatiferet, V'Hanetzach V'Chachod, Ki Cho B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz, Ki Cho B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz, V'Adonai HaMamlacha, V'Minazeh L'Chol Rosh. Happy anniversary of your bar mitzvah. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omen, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim Omen, Al HaTorah ve'al HaAvodah ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al HaTorah ve'al HaAvodah ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shloshim Devarim Ha'olam Omen, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim Omen. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'histachavu Lehar Kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'histachavu Lehar Kodsho. I'll say ki, then you say ki. It comes up really quick. Here we go. Ki, ki, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'histachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'histachavu lehar kodsho.
If you take out your Torah sheets at this time, Levi will be chanting chapter 19 from the book of Leviticus. It is also known as the Holiness Code, and it is perhaps the most important and inspiring words of our Torah about the ways in which we care for one another in our tradition. And it's I think a message that many of us feel is perhaps, somewhat absent in today's world. And perhaps these words will inspire us to take these words out of our sanctuary and bring them to the world as it is much needed in this day and age. So, for the first Aliyah, we are so pleased to call to the bima Dina Robbins and Ken Robbins, proud grandparents. Ya'amdu Dina bat Meir v'Golda v'Kalman Meir ben Aharon.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Moed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Li'olam Voed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Borcha Bonu Mikol Ha'amim V'nolanonu et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen. You haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Dean, if you could hang on to them.
Vayiraber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el kol adat b'nei Israel. V'amarta alihem kirushim tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Ish imo ve'aviv tira'u vet shabbatotai tishmoru ani Adonai Elohechem. Yeah.
Wait. Go ahead. Totally right. Just go with your instincts.
Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'lohei masecha lo ta'asu lachem ani Adonai Elohechem.
Take your tallit, please. Touch right there.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam v'tan b'tokenu Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
I should share with all of you that I drilled into Levi's head that the menchiest thing you could possibly do on the bima is to give people that you love a hug. So this is just a double,
Okay,
a double
we got
menchie.
twice.
Double menchie. We all did it.
Another one.
There you go. Bring it in. Yeah, just keep going.
For the second Aliyah, we're so pleased to call Carol Horowitz and Ronald Horowitz, Bubby and Zeta. Okay. But they're not going to come up. I'm going to come down. Ya'amdu Freda Pea bat Moshe v'Meina v'Ruven Nachman ben Aharon Moshe v'Liba.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher B'karanu Mikol Hamim V'natan lanu et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Amen.
V'chi tizbechu zevach shalamim l'Adonai l'rtzonchem tizbechu. Amen. B'yom zivchachem yachel mimacharat v'anotar ad yom hashishi ba'esh yisarev ve'im he'achol yachel ba'yom hashishi bigulhu lo yiratzem v'chlav avano yisa ki kodesh Adonai chilel v'nichreta hanefesh hahi me'amecha.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam
For our third Aliyah, we are proud to call Levi's siblings, his brothers Asher Robbins and Simon Robbins. Ya'amdu Aharon Moshe ben Baruch Mordechai v'Kela Yafa v'Menachem Gavriel ben Baruch Mordechai v'Kela Yafa.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hold the dates, please. Amen.
Uvkutzrechem ekitzir atzechem lo techale piat sadcha liktzor v'leke kitzrecha lo tilakei v'chamecha lo teolel ufer chamecha lo tilakei le'ani v'lager tazov otam ani Adonai Elohechem Lo tignovu, v'lo techachashu, v'lo tishakru, ish ba'amito.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. For our fourth Aliyah, we are so pleased and proud to call Levi's parents, Karen and Michael Robbins. Ya'amdu Kela Yafa bat Ruven Nachman v'Freda Pea v'Baruch Mordechai ben Kalman Meir v'Dina.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shkoch. Could you hold the dates, please? Thank you. Amen.
But this isn't the wrong. This is part of the other one.
That one, yeah.
Yeah. No, this is for Hamachalo.
Oh,
yeah.
Me too. It's a little bit tougher with the Holocaust Torah, which the words are much closer together, and it's actually kind of difficult to find our place here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Amen.
V'lo tishavu v'shmi la shaker v'chilel ta et shem Elohecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'ashok et rachicha et riacha v'lo tigzol lo talin pelat sachir itecha ad boker. Lo tigalel cheresh v'ifnei iver lo titain michshol v'yirita melohecha ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Do not go anywhere. Stay right here.
Okay.
All right. And for the fifth and final Aliyah, we are so proud to call to the Torah our bar mitzvah, Levi Robbins. Wait.
Wait, is the top one? That says.
It's the
Yeah,
top
yeah.
one, yeah. Ya Amor, Levi Gershon ben Baruch Mordechai v'Kela Yafa, Aliyah bar mitzvah leTorah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat, lo tisa p'nei da, v'lo tedar p'nei gado, b'tzedek tishpot amitecha. Lo tikom lo telech rachil b'amecha, lo ta'amod al damrecha, ani Adonai. Lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha, hocheach tochiach et amitecha, v'lo tisa alev heit. Lo tikom v'lo titor et b'nei amecha, v'havta l'reacha kamocha, ani Adonai.
Give your parents a hug now. All right, now you can go sit down. Oh yes, that's right. Very good. Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. In the presence of Torah, even in times of such joy and celebration, we think of those in need of healing. We think of those in need of healing who right now may be suffering from COVID. We pray for their speedy recovery and for their health. And we pray for all those in our community and all those in need of healing to receive that healing, and may they have a refuah shlema. If there are members of your family, friends, or loved ones in need of healing and you wish to say their names aloud, please feel free to do so at this time.
Thinking of my sister, Karen Perlman.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim, page 371. Please join us for the Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing
and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Now, my pleasure to welcome back to the Bima Uncle James to be our Hagbah, and of course Leo and Eli to dress the Torah. Please rise. Yeah. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe b'nei Yisrael Adonai b'yad Moshe. Lai 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 You may be seated. That was quite a lifting, huh? The eternal light was, yeah. Okay. It's rocking. It's good. God's always with us. Just kind of reminder of that. Not always steady or certain, but right there. It's now my pleasure to call to the Bima dear friends Nicole and Jason to read our prayer for the congregation, Nicole Jelinek and Jason Knight, and you will find that on page 376. Take off your mask.
Yeah. Good to see you. Hi.
Shabbat shalom. You get the first one?
Yeah. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service.
May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
Nice keeper. Yeah, dude. It's now my pleasure to call Uncle Don and Aunt Kathy offering the prayer for country. Also, page 376.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give you thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace.
May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
And we invite now Aunt Lynn to offer the prayer for Israel, page 377.
O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there.
We now turn to page 375 as we rise for the returning the Torah to the ark.
Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
You may be seated. It is now my pleasure to welcome back to the Bima our bar mitzvah, Levi Robbins, for his Devar Torah, which he will do slowly and with great expression.
Good morning and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion, Kiddushim, is about the laws of holiness that were given to Moses from God when he was on Mount Sinai. The teachings of Kiddushim are basic rules that the Israelites and everyone else should follow. These include treating everyone with respect, giving to the needy, and treating people equally. I am sharing my bar mitzvah today with a child who did not live long enough to have his own bar mitzvah. Levi Zeisel was born in Lodz, Poland in 1934. He was sent into a Nazi concentration camp, Belzec, when he was very young and was murdered at the age of 9 in Belzec in 1943. Although Levi Zeisel never grew old enough to have a bar mitzvah, his memory lives on today, and I am proud to remember him on this special day in my life. Kiddushim is the heart of the Torah, and the middle line of the Holiness Code, or Kiddushim, is, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Leviticus 19:9. This verse, although it may seem irrelevant to us, can still be used as a metaphor. Gleanings are meant as a leftover food, or crops that had fallen from their branches or vines, where they had grown from. The needy would then have the opportunity to harvest, or pick up the crops that had been left behind. Today, the commandment to leave the corners of the field for the poor can be interpreted as giving what you can to people who are less fortunate than you. For my Mitzvah project, I volunteered for the Barrington Land Conservation Trust to help maintain some of the conservation land in Barrington. Mitzvah translates to commandment, because in Judaism, doing good deeds and helping people is an obligation. Every week, I clear the invasive plants in the woods across from my house. and picked up trash on the beach, sometimes bringing my friends and family. This project fits in with the teachings of Kiddushim because Kiddushim talks about helping your community and giving your time to help those in need. Another important teaching from Kiddushim is Leviticus 19:14. It states, "You shall not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind." Now let's be realistic. Do we really need a law telling us not to insult the deaf or not to put a big boulder in front of a blind person? Hopefully not. So why is the Torah telling us to do these things? As I noted earlier, we have to view this commandment as a metaphor. When it says, "Do not insult the deaf," the Torah is instructing us not to gossip or talk about someone behind their back. Or when it says not to put a stumbling block in the way of a blind person, we might interpret this as a reminder not to mislead or purposefully hurt people who are less able or who have less information than yourself. An example of this is if there's a new kid in your school and they ask you where a certain classroom is, your obligation is to help them find it instead of ignoring them or purposefully sending them out of their way. The teachings of Kiddushim are still relevant today, if not more so than they were in the past, to strengthen equality and give tzedakah. It is important to be respectful to everyone and give everyone an equal opportunity. It is unfair for someone to be treated in a disparaging way or be considered lesser than another human being because of their race, gender, or sexuality. Everyone should be given the same opportunity as anyone else. It is like the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated, or, in the Torah, love your fellow Israelite as yourself, which is a verse that I chanted this morning. Everyone is made in the image of God, so they must be treated equally. Inevitably in life, there will be people who you don't fit in with, people who you fit in with, and people who you do not fit in with, or do not care for, or understand. Although you may be better or worse at some things than they are, you have to remember to treat them with dignity and as though they were one of your friends or peers. You should not judge a person for not being as smart or as talented as you yourself are, because you may not know their story or their background. Another teaching of Leviticus is that you must never judge or gossip about another person. This, I believe, is very similar to the previously mentioned point of not insulting the deaf. These are very similar because the person who is having gossip spread about them has almost no power to stop the information from circulating. Especially in this day and age, when social media spreads gossip around the world with a simple click of the mouse or press of a button. We must be especially thoughtful about the things we say or post. Such gossip may also hurt their feelings and damage their self-esteem. These verses are important to me becoming a bar mitzvah, because now that I am an adult in the eyes of the Jewish community, it is important to have a set of standard rules to live by. I will eventually have ethical dilemmas and be faced with difficult moral problems. How I resolve these dilemmas will be up to me, and I hope the Jewish teachings I discussed today will guide me in making the right decisions. I can use the teachings of Kiddushim to help me in these situations and hopefully choose the virtuous option. And now I would like to thank all of the people who have helped me reach my bar mitzvah. I would like to thank Rabbi and David for helping me through my bar mitzvah process. Thank you, Rabbi, for teaching me about my Torah portion and helping me to understand its teachings. I'd also like to thank David for helping me with the blessings in the Hebrew, and also for working out technical difficulties, and of course for supplying the pizza. Thank you, Adina, for helping to organize at the temple. I would like to thank my grandparents, Bubby and Zadie, for traveling all the way from Michigan to be here with me today, and for giving me my yod, talit, and talit bag that I've been using during the service. I'm very thankful to my parents for helping me over the course of the process, from helping me on my beach cleanups, to supporting me, and to organizing my party. I also want to thank my brothers, Asher and Simon, for being my role models. I would like to thank my nanny Maureen for driving me to and from my weekly Hebrew lessons, and for also being very supportive of me. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone here in person or virtually for helping to celebrate this special day with me. I would also, at this time, like to extend a special thank you to our Sky Priority members who are sitting today with us in the front row. Thank you all for coming to to celebrate my bar mitzvah with me today.
I'd now like to invite Michael and Karen back to the bima to say words of congratulations on this auspicious day.
Levi.
Hi.
So let's just take a moment and appreciate that you're now a bar mitzvah. You nailed it. You did a great job. Thank you. He anticipated my need, and I appreciate that very much. I was reflecting on you for this speech, and it got me thinking about the way that people are born with a certain temperament and a way of being in the world, and that persists from the time they're a baby into adulthood. And this certainly is true for you. The strengths that we have seen in you up until this day are the same ones that I saw in you today, and the same ones that will allow you to be a successful adult who contributes positively to the world. You are a person who is quietly focused, independent, creative, curious, hardworking, and determined, and able to enjoy a good laugh and to make people have a little laugh. I'd like to share some stories that really embody some of these qualities. When you were little, you really enjoyed drawing, especially different kinds of monster creatures. One day when you were probably around 3 or 4 years old, you set out with sidewalk chalk and you started drawing monsters on our driveway. You worked on this project for most of the day and you covered the entire surface of our driveway in hundreds, you remember this, of large monsters, each one creative and unique. I had to go to the second floor of the house to be able to view the full masterpiece. You had a vision, you worked on it for hours, and you saw it through to completion. This is similar to what you did today and to what I've seen you do with many other projects in your life. For example, last year you asked for a shot put for Hanukkah, and you watched videos. You started throwing all winter long. You went outside almost every single day, even when it was freezing outside, and you measured your throws. You were determined to make it to the state meet. Your first meet this year, you threw a qualifying throw. Asher remarked that throwing is a perfect sport for you because if you put in the work, you see the successful outcome. This is who you are. You put in the work, hard work, consistent and focused, and you get the outcome you desire, just like you did today. We also see your creativity, curiosity, and humor shine in so many ways. When you were little, you would dress up in quirky, funny costumes that even age 3, I think you knew that you were being funny. You were also so fun to read to. Not only did we go through stacks and stacks of books at a sitting, but you would also always have a huge belly laugh in exactly the right spot that the author intended. You remember that? Now you show me the funniest Calvin and Hobbes comics at bedtime. You like watching funny TV shows like The Office, Family Guy, Impractical Jokers. But I will say this sense of humor is always balanced by an underlying seriousness and curiosity, as we can find you just as frequently choosing math and science videos to watch to learn something new. You like to laugh and you like to learn. You're also someone who really connects with others. You love Yogi. You take him out pretty much every morning and every night.
Younger brother.
And he's our youngest son. And he is definitely bonded to you, and he knows he can count on you. I also believe that you were the perfect third child for our family. Asher and Simon were born closer in time to each other, and they have very different temperaments from each other, and you connected with both of them. You let Asher be a caring big brother to you, and you now have a strong relationship where you connect on shared interests like piano, camp, TV shows, and throwing. And you let Simon be a big brother in a different way. The two of you are more likely to do activities together. Simon tends to have stronger preferences about what you do and how you do it. And you tend to go along, and we usually hear the two of you laughing. You're flexible, you're laid back, you don't take things personally, and these traits make you easy to be around. They make you a steady and reliable brother and a good friend. And I imagine that some of these qualities are what make you such a good third for your good friends Leo and Eli. To the outside world, you can sometimes be seen as a person of few words. You take a little longer to get to know, you quietly take things in, and you are not one to impose yourself in situations. You listen. You're more of an introvert. You're content on your own. When you were at Montessori, You used to sing to yourself as you worked on your works, and your teacher enjoyed it. And she helped to shape when you could sing and the few times that she had you to work quietly. I think and I hope that as life goes on, like the modulation of your singing in the classroom, that you will master when to speak out, and I'm sure that people will listen. You have very important things to say. So here we are at the end of your bar mitzvah ceremony, and you did it. I might have told you to do your Hebrew one time. I never heard you practice, and you knocked it out of the park. You were focused, you took it seriously, you worked hard, and when you combine that with your creativity, kindness, sense of humor, flexibility, you have what it takes to be successful in your life and to contribute positively in the world, which we definitely need. I want you to take a moment, and I want you to look around the room. I also want you to think about the people in your life who are at home and watching and sharing in your day from afar. There is a lador vador, generation to generation of family, and also a lador vador of friends. All of these people have come here to be here with you for your bar mitzvah. The memory of this day will be a part of the fabric of your life. The intellectual accomplishment, the spiritual connection, and the support and love of the generations of family and friends. I am thankful for all of these, and I'm so thankful for you. I love you.
So before I start, Simon wanted me to say, what's funny is that Mom and we hadn't read each other's speech till yesterday. She had me read hers, and we pretty much had a lot of the same stories, a lot of the same ideas about you. We used the same words, and then interestingly, Simon just said that this is a great bar mitzvah for you because things are going wrong, or you were not sure what to do, and you were laughing, and you were solid through it, and you knew what you wanted, and you knew how to do it. And that's exactly what I was writing about. Mom and I had so many positive things to say about you that we didn't really know where to start. You're smart, you're kind, you're funny, you're personable, you're thoughtful, you're responsible, you're fun to be around, you're self-sufficient. You agree with all that? Okay. And I love to be around you. You're just so much fun to be around. So I was thinking about these certain qualities that you have and trying to talk about this sort of self-determination. Like when you were 3 years old, the drawing, but also you would go into the playroom by yourself for a few minutes and come out dressed in these crazy situations. Do you remember this? For a couple of months, you had a laundry basket on your head. I wanted to do a picture, but there's no picture here. You had rain boots that went up to your knees. You had a red cape. You had a cow print jacket, and you would usually come out with a sword. And you wouldn't let us change any of that, and you brought it to friends' houses, you brought it to the stores, you brought it wherever we went. You were determined and consistent. You knew exactly how you wanted it to look. And it seemed to me, this is exactly what Mom said, it seemed to me that you knew it was funny, even though you were 3 years old. This has continued to be your style since you've been growing up. You learned pi to the 150th place. You like to play chess and add hundreds of points to your score. And this is the kind of thing that happens between me and you. I'll be fixing the Wi-Fi or doing something ridiculous, and you'll say, "Did you know that Jamaica's the only flag that doesn't have red, white, or blue?" And I'm busy, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, sure. Then a day later, you'll tell me that Nepal's flag is the only one that's not quadrilateral. And by the third iteration of this, I catch on, "Oh, what are you talking about? Are you learning flags?" And then you will say, "Yes, I already know all the flags." Like on your own, you just decided, I'm going to learn all the flags in the world. So I guess you can call it consistency, determination, responsibility. But another aspect of this that I think talks a little bit about what Simon was saying is that you're calm and you handle stress incredibly well. You've more than our other two kids are always getting into accidents, having illnesses, like you've been to the hospital more times than they have. So this story just always goes through my mind. When you were 8 years old or so, we were fishing on the bridge over there, and I was putting a hook on. You guys see where this is going? And he was just running, and he ran, and a hook went right into his arm, and just sat there with it was a hook that had an extra.
It was barbed.
It was barbed, and it had an extra long wire, whatever they call it. And I got really panicky, and you were just breathing calmly, and then you just said, "Dad, is this going to be in my arm forever?" I swear you said that. And then when I said no, you like relaxed a little bit, like, okay, this is going to be okay. And then I think you kind of wanted to keep fishing, but you ended up going, thanks to Laura Chapman for getting that out. And on the way to Laura Chapman's house, you were hungry, so you asked Mom to bring you to McDonald's on the way. And you're just sitting there with a hook sticking in your ear, and you're just eating McDonald's. But I think what really portrays all of this together is the way that you learn piano. Out of the blue, none of us really listen to like jazz or anything, and I don't think, Maureen, do you? No. Okay. So out of the blue, we'll be in the car, and he'll be listening to some like old jazz thing. Like last time, it was from 1930s. You said, right? Just out of the blue, this crazy piano jazz, and then he'll just go home and he'll find it online. He'll find the piano piece, and then because we have a piano now that you can plug in, we don't know what you're doing all the time, and you're just practicing, and we think you're practicing what the piano teacher told you to, but you're not. You're practicing what you want to play, and then sometime you pull out your thing and you're just playing it perfectly, the same exact rendition. Like, I'm not kidding, like you just do it perfectly. So I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's self-determination, perseverance, confidence, commitment, discipline, responsibility.
We go with all of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Modesty.
Whatever it is, it keeps you so focused and calm, whether you have a hook in your arm. It makes you commit and persevere when you learn new things. And I know it's going to be what's going to make you successful for the rest of your life. And it's this quality that we've seen today as you run the service. I'm so proud of you for everything you've done. And I love spending time with you, your humor, your energy, your way of being in the world. And I just feel so lucky to have you in my life and to get to watch you grow up. Yeah?
Oh, wait, take your tissues. Michael, Karen, thank you for such beautiful words, and I won't have anything more to say now. So I thought it was very fitting, Michael, that you ended your remarks to Levi mentioning the piano and his enthusiasm and panache. And so I'd like to now welcome Levi over to the piano, and he'll be playing "Fly Me to the Moon," which is really but you need my microphone, which is what we talked about yesterday. Thank you for reminding me. Exactly. So put that in your pocket. You put it in your jacket pockets, all right? Okay. Just put it on your tie. All right.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay.
It's good?
Yep.
All right. Can't hear it? Try it again.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Hi.
Poets often use many words to say a simple thing. It takes thought and time and rhyme to make a poem sing. With music and words I've been playing. For you I have written a song to make sure you know what I'm saying. I'll translate as I go along. Fly me to the moon in the midday among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on
on Jupiter and Mars. The hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Forevermore, I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Oh,
Yeah.
here.
Okay. We're trading.
Wait. Let's see.
It's not so easy, I know.
There we go.
Tallis, and I know.
There you go. Got it.
Okay, got it? All right, good. Thank you. The thing about a Brit Mitzvah is that in the pandemic is there's a lot of moving parts, and you have to kind of be flexible, which you are. So, a few thoughts that I have. I never, ever had to ask you to do anything. I simply said, this is what we need to do, and you'd come back with whatever I had asked. And then it was done. I didn't have to edit it or make suggestions, or at least not too much anyway. You just simply did it. And then when it came to your Torah portion, the same was true. Your qualities of independence and self-sufficiency and mastery are something that comes very naturally to you and that you feel very comfortable with. And today, not surprisingly, you did just what your perseverance, your dedication, your hard work would lead you to, as your mom said so beautifully. So, this morning, you dedicated your bar mitzvah to Levi Zeisel. And you read and chanted from the Holocaust Scroll. And as you wrote so movingly, Levi never grew old enough to have a bar mitzvah, but his memory lives on today, and I am proud to remember him on this special day in my life. But it's worth asking the question, Levi, why it is that Levi Zeisel, who was born in Lodz, in Poland, who probably went to school there, and shul, and who lit Shabbat candles on Friday night with his family, and who had hopes and dreams like all 9-year-old boys do. It's worth asking why Levi Zeisel ended up in a concentration camp at the age of 9, his life ending there. You see, my friends, how many people have been to Lodz? We have Anita and Dawn have been to Lodz, and it's a pretty big city. I've been there myself, and it's not like a city that you'd have a lot of memories of, but it's a big city, and lots of people live there. In the 1930s, lots of people lived there too. Lots of factory jobs, lots of labor unions, churches, synagogues. I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to have a hunch that the Zeisels had a lot of neighbors. People who knew them and who knew Levi, their 9-year-old boy. You see, the problem is, Levi, I don't think enough of their neighbors read your Torah portion. The Zeisel's neighbors insulted the deaf. They put huge boulders in the way of the blind. They didn't leave the corners of their field for those who needed them. And they profited from the blood of those who were taken away. They not only didn't love their neighbor, they didn't care about their neighbor. They didn't try to hide them or raise their voice in protests when they were taken away. It was just another Jewish family who one day just weren't there. You know the reason why Levi Zeisel never had a bar mitzvah, never had a chance to dream or work or get married or have children or grandchildren or grow old. It's because too many people who should have known better, never lived up to the values that you chanted about this morning. These values, leaving the corners of your fields, not helping the most vulnerable people in our midst, are the ones that define what it means to be Jewish. These values are what make us responsible. They're what make us accountable to one another. The writer, Dara Horn, I don't know if people are reading this book, but we are here in the synagogue, People Love Dead Jews, which is a depressing title, and it's not as depressing as that, but it's still hard to read. And she wrote, quote, "The freedoms that we cherish are meaningless without our commitments to one another, to civil discourse, to actively educating the next generation, to welcoming strangers, to loving our neighbors. The beginning of freedom is the beginning of responsibility." Levi, that's what you've done this morning. You stood up. Actually, you've been doing this your life, which is that you're given a task, you're responsible for the task, you do the task. Sometimes you do tasks that no one asks you to do. Flags. It's amazing. Or pie. In my class, by the way, Levi did the pie probably only to 50 or 60, but it was about 30 more than anyone else could possibly even think of doing. But The point being is that this morning when you chanted and when you led the service, you taught us what it means to be responsible. In Judaism, our rites of passage are about this, about not just chanting Torah or leading a service, but also explaining what it means and why it's important. And why it's important is now being tested every day of our lives in ways that I never even thought possible. But you see, in order to make it through this time, in order to see you through to real adulthood, we need to be upholding not only the rights of ourselves, but the rights of our neighbors. We need to be able to make sure that those who are not like us are not vulnerable, are not considered strange. We need to be able to make sure that our values are lived through responsibility and leadership, not just to ourselves, but to everyone. And that's what you did this morning. You demonstrated your maturity, you demonstrated your education, your perseverance, your intellect, all the things that will serve you well, all the things that your family spoke of, and the things that David and I are both so proud of, and your teachers as well. You have unique and wonderful gifts. The key, of course, is to remember that these gifts are only gifts if they're shared. Gifts that lift other people up. Gifts that make other people feel good, as you always do. Either through laughter, or being a supportive friend, or entertaining, or just being your goofy, wonderful self. This is going to be new to you and certainly new to the congregation. But the song that you chose, Fly Me to the Moon, is very personal to me as well. And I wanted to share with you a little bit of why that is. As a boy growing up, my grandparents on my father's side didn't have a lot to share with me. But one thing that they did share was their love for Frank Sinatra. And I remember being at their home in, well, it was their apartment building in 1970. And they had I'd never seen this before, but it was called a triple album. And it was called Sinatra at the Sands. And it was just this live concert that he did over a period of, I think, months probably, and they compiled them. And he sang Fly Me to the Moon on the album, and I listened to it again and again. And at the time, Levi, we had just gone to the moon. And the thought of going to Jupiter or Mars wasn't just a metaphor in a song, but rather was like something that we thought about doing. And it lifted me up in ways that probably I needed to be lifted up at the time. And I was playing the piano too, and I went home and I said, I must learn to play this, but not with anywhere near the skill that you just did. I just like to sing pretty much. And it occurred to me that playing Fly Me to the Moon is something that makes all of us soar, you know? Because it's one of those songs, like I couldn't name a half a dozen Sinatra songs, but I could name that one. Because it does soar, and it does lift us up, and it does teach us about the possibility that we could reach for the stars, and maybe even sometimes get there, like today. I wish you mazel tov, and most importantly, take this day, remember it, celebrate it, and let it be a model going forward. A model for leadership, a model for Jewish values, and a model for upholding the values that you chanted today so beautifully. I wish you mazel tov and congratulations. All right. David, I think that we are moving from there to the Aleinu. I'm pretty sure about that. So, so what I'd like you to do now is to reopen your prayer books and turn to page 586. And rise for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekenu l'yotzeh breshit, shelo asan k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushamo echad.
At this time, we remember those who died in recent days and those who died at this time in seasons past, those whose yurtzeits we observe. We remember in the Robbins and Horowitz family, great-grandparents Lillian and Harold Horowitz, Myrna and Morris Rubin, Selma and Harry Robbins, Allah and Milton Wexler. We remember great aunts and uncles, Lynn Gieman, Anne Roth, Irving Blaustein, and Richard Rubin. And we remember Beth and Stephen Wexler. Although they are not with us, their spirits are with us, and as we pass the Torah from generation to generation, they were here with us. Indeed, they were the ones for whom we passed, so that we could pass it today. Are there any other names for those remembering someone for the Mourner's Kaddish? Please, go ahead. For Christopher Boylan, beloved son of Terrence Boylan Sr., brother of Terrence Boylan, brother-in-law of Jennifer Boylan, uncle of Jamie and Tanner Boylan. Thank you. Thank you. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May their memories always be for a blessing. We turn now to page 598, and together we praise God's name and pray the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayei echon uv'yom echon, v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalal v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. You may be seated.
Oseh shalom bimromav.
Stay right there.
Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
It is now my pleasure to welcome to the Bima the president of Tebel Habanim, Ivan Wolfson, with gifts and congratulations from Temple.
Hello, good morning. Levi, as president of the Temple, I have many responsibilities, some good, not so good, but I have a few privileges as well. One is I'm now allowed to touch the thermostat, and the other is I get to do this sometimes. And as you know, I have a great affection for you and your family. I'm not really sure why, but well, I am sure that it might be because I grew up with two brothers, and I think of what it's like for your poor mother to deal with 4 men in the family, and you and your brothers jockeying for various positions of who's more this, that, and funnier, taller, whatever. It might be because of all the Purim spiels that your brothers and I have performed in together, and your mother. I typecast as guard number 2. Maybe when you guys are gone, I can get guard number 1. But there've been a lot. Maybe it's because of the time that your father and I and David were in a short-lived but highly critically acclaimed Friday night Shabbat rock band right here on this very bima. It might be because when I look out at your family, I think that I need to get back to working out again. I'm not really sure. But and I'll just quickly say that I have a million Fly Me to the Moon stories as well.
Oh.
Very important song in my life. I have seen probably 100 videos of different versions, mostly more guitar than piano, and I have a whole series of which Frank Sinatra versions are better or worse. But it's a great song. I could talk about that for a long time. But not today, because today is about you and your family, and the job that you did today was just astounding, and it's not a surprise because of when I think of the involvement of your family in this community, in the larger community of healing professions. The example that your parents set is obvious for the rest of us to see. So I'm not surprised. So we have a few gifts. I won't belabor them. A siddur with your name in it that you'll always have to remember. We have a engraved Kiddush cup. It says Levi. That's not the engraving, but that's so we don't get confused. There's a certificate for some money towards a trip to Israel from Nifty to hopefully use in the future. And this is a certificate from the temple that says you did what you just did. And you'll have this, and it's signed by Rabbi Howard and David. It's actually signed by me as well, and I tried to do it as neatly as possible so that 30 years from now, 50 years from now, when you're up here for maybe one of your kids' Brit Mitzvah, you'll look at that and you'll say, who was that? What was that name? Oh yeah, that's right, I remember. That guy with the green and white stockings in the Purim spiel that year. So congratulations, you did a tremendous job, and I'll just leave these for your family to collect later, and I'll just say, Mazel Tov. Oh, come on, bring it in. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Ivan, and once again, Mazel Tov, and to Karen, to Michael, Asher and Simon, to grandparents, to Carol and Ronald, to Dina and Ken. Mazel Tov, it's really, and all the aunts and uncles that are here. What a wonderful day, and but most of all to you, Levi. Let's. I think we're inviting everybody up.
Yep.
Yeah. The thing about Temple Abanim is that we have a close-knit Brit Mitzvah class, and so we'd like to invite them up, whoever may be here today, to come up and join Levi.
COVID clarification, masks on.
Right.
The whole time.
Exactly. So, and Eli, you are an honorary member of the class. You have to come. We could not have you.
You can keep your mask off, but we should keep.
Because triumvirates are triumvirates for a reason. So come on up. Okay, guys, let's not be shy. Come on up.
In case anybody's wondering, they do fall like dominoes. We have 9 in the next 8 weeks, next 9 weeks. And if anybody wants to see a picture of these ones when they were little, I have some pictures when they were in Miss Sarah's kindergarten class that I hunted down. Others from times in religious school that you guys have all been together. We've really gone through a whole lot together. Wine is our symbol of joy. Levi, please lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Amen.
L'chaim.
It's not grape juice.
All right.
You're a man now. L'chaim.
Man, oh Manischewitz. That's why we say that. You're a man. You know, so.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices join in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
The Te'avon. Go ahead and
Te'avon.
have a little piece. Thank you. You guys can sit down now.
All right, Zoe, we'll see you next week, right? Yes. Okay, good.
Let's hope she says right. Yeah.
I know.
All right. So, as everybody was talking to this Menchie guy right here, I use this iPad, and usually I'm using it for the prayers. I do promise. But one of the things I've been able to do, and lucky enough to do, is take pictures of you over the year, amongst everybody, of course. Like you preparing Israeli salad with more arena, or you here with Dan Nichols, legendary Jewish singer. But one kept popping up, you and your buddy Leo, over and over and over, so much so that we can't say Leo's name first, because we can't say Leo and Eli, because so often we end up saying Leo and Levi, and often you two have to correct us when we're talking to each other. It's a little hard to believe because you look nothing like that anymore, huh? No. Levi, there's a couple of things I want to mention to you. Here. So, no, don't read my notes. Don't read my notes. I already cried with Levi at Levi, our last session together. And gave him most of what I wanted to share with you, so I didn't break down here. But a couple of big pieces. Look at all the people here who came to. They didn't come for me or for the rally. They came for you. They came for you, and you did not disappoint. You are a mensch through and through. You are a nice person. You are just like your brothers in a lot of ways. Your brother Asher, I remember saying this exact thing about him, and I remember saying this exact thing about Simon too. I do know your name, Simon. And yes, just like your brother Simon, you do love to pull practical jokes and be silly. Like the time that we didn't know how Leo got hurt at school, we just knew that he came up with a black eye, and you guys convinced me of all different things, and I believed every single reason. You are just like your parents in that you're selfless and sweet and kind, and you're just like your dad in that you're constantly telling jokes and getting me there. You're just like your mom because you're able to grasp what I'm saying in a sweet way and give the benefit of the doubt. You're able to be silly. You're super smart. I don't even know what that was on the piano, but it was by far the best version I've ever heard in my entire life, and I was just like Snoopy, just dancing around here. Levi, I've mentioned this to you a bunch. Good leaders, we had a good laugh about how leaders are humble, right? I told you I wasn't going to talk about humility here because it would be too much of a joke to us, but you are a humble person. You are, even though you might joke around about it. I could go on and on about 18 different qualities about you that make you special, but one of the ones that I love the most is you're you. You are authentic, you're nice, and you would never mislead somebody to the wrong classroom, right? You would never do anything like that. Maybe. But you'd come and get them later and tell me it was true. As I was sitting here, I saw Talia in the congregation remembering her bat mitzvah, this portion, Kiddushim, remembering. It's also my portion, 25 years ago. It's a little incredible to think about the door vador from generation to generation. In these services, it's all about you, and it's not at all about you. And that's what Judaism is. It's all about me, and it's not at all about me. And honestly, that's what leadership is too. It's remembering that your job as a leader is to empower the next set of leaders. And you've done a good job being a role model for your 7th grade class, being here almost every single week for religious school, being part of services, being fun, being part of the rabbi's 7th grade class. I admire you in so many ways, and it's been so fun to get to teach. I think, honestly, it's the first time in my career that I've gotten to teach 3 different children from the same family, each of you different, and all of you amazing.
Am I the best, though?
You are definitely the best. You are definitely
Hear that?
of all 3. Levi, as you were giving your Devar Torah, the other day in practice, I could see you giving your lobbying speech at the RAC as part of the Litaken program. I can see you being a force in our world for good. And I just think the world of you, and I know no matter what you end up doing with your life, you're going to bring joy to people and hopefully to yourself most of all. So, we're on 645, we're going to sing Lech Ilach. Hopefully we won't cry. But if you do, it's okay.
If you do, shame on you.
I should also say one more thing, which is that one of the things about a leader is they think about other people, and you constantly think about other people, even though I know we love to joke, and so I can feel you even wanting to tell a joke in this moment. Levi worked hard thinking about what would work best for the members of this community, the people who would be here at this Brit Mitzvah, and I admire you for that too, because in some ways it's about you showing everything about how great you are, and in other ways it's about you helping other people to see that they're great too. So, just like our patriarch Abraham, who led the Jewish people, you are going to help lead us, hopefully, in Lech Ilach.
Lech Ilach, to a land that I will show you. Lech Lecha, to a place you do not know. Lech Ilach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lech Ilach.
I shall make your name great.
Lechi lach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. You shall chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach.
Now the congregation only, you shall be a blessing. 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 Yes, you are a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach.
My friends, it's a day of joy. It's a day of celebration. It's a day to remember the values that Levi spoke about in his Devar Torah. And it's a day to remember what Jewish leadership means. As you go out into the world, please take these values with you. We need them desperately right now. Love our neighbor. Take care of our neighbor. Be responsible for our neighbor. My colleague sitting here today in the congregation, the Reverend Gene Dishlevsky, is here, and he does this indeed in his work with the Rhode Island Council of Churches in his congregation. And it's an honor and privilege, of course, to worship with you, Gene, and glad that you're here today. Friends, I wish all of you a wonderful weekend. I wish you the very, very best times together. I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and most of all, remember to tell each other how much you care for each other and how much you love each other, because indeed, these are our times to do so. Mazel tov to Karen, Michael, to Simon and Asher, to our grandparents, our Bubby and Zadie, and to all of you, Shabbat Shalom.
Mazel tov, Allah, Nagila, Allah, Nagila, Allah, Nagila ben Ismecha, Allah, Nagila, Allah, Nagila, Allah, Nagila ben Ismecha. Havana ranana, Havana ranana, Havana ranana, when it's machal. Havana ranana, Havana ranana, Havana ranana, when it's machal. Achim, Urachim, Lev Sameach, Urachim, Lev Sameach, Urachim, Lev Sameach, Urachim, Lev Sameach, Urachim, Lev Sameach.